Welcome to another episode of Alignment First, where we're here to bring leaders back to their peace, presence, and power. And I'm jamming with Gord Nicodemus, the owner and founder of Desert Drives LLC, fellow jiu-jitsu dad. And that's where we really hit it off. First and foremost, man, I really appreciate you making yourself available. I know you got a lot going on. I remember sitting with you in jiu-jitsu, giving you the pound, catching up, and then watching you just hand jam whatever you were working on that laptop and managing all the moving pieces for everything you got going on. So I really appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
As I was stalking your LinkedIn, it was really interesting to find that we have a very similar undergraduate background, mine in health and human performance, yours in exercise and physiology out of Oregon State. And I was just really quick picking your brain about the corporate wellness gig at USAA once upon a time. And I want to start by diving down the rabbit hole of your dream job, but not your dream wage. Walk me through that.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm originally from Oregon, born and raised, spent my, first 22 years of existence out there. I came out to Arizona for an internship at USAA. Corporate wellness, I thought it was, the bee's knees, everything I ever wanted. The only thing that would have been better than that would have been, some sort of wellness advisor for a professional sports organization. But, you got to start somewhere. So I landed at USAA. I loved it. The job was awesome. Hours were awesome. The only thing that was very humbling was the wage. I was also working at Costco at the time, and I was making about $7 more an hour to box groceries than what they were willing to pay me full time to be on there, which, wasn't really, a shine of sunshine when you got student loans and you're moving out and starting your own gig. But the job itself seemed incredible. I mean, Monday through Friday, mandatory to work out on the clock for multiple hours a day, mandatory to take a 1 hour wellness break in addition to your mandatory 1 hour lunch. So you could really work out or, go to a yoga class, go to a nutrition class. They had relaxation rooms where you go in and it was like a full on like ambiance, plants, like big old TV with the ocean in the background, and they encouraged you to sleep on the clock. Like, who does that? It was so awesome. But $17.50 an hour wasn't going to pay the bills, especially when I was at the W-2 and they were paying me closer to 25 at the time. But, it was very eye-opening. So I ended up pursuing the old Costco route. But, times are changing. I started dabbling in different side hustles. My parents are entrepreneurs and started my own businesses. And, now we're here. Now we're both business owners.
Dude, I love it though, man. What did you ever, beyond the internship, did you pursue any increase in wages or benefits or whatever, or were they offsetting your compensation with all of those perks? What was the narrative to justify just $1 over a minimum wage?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. Because I wasn't the lead wellness advisor on site. I was, the part of the staff, so to speak. That was their reasoning. And everything in wellness, they want years of experience. Like even when you're applying for jobs, they ask for like 5 to 10 years of experience to apply. But how are you going to get that background if you don't have a job in the industry? Like that was the hardest part. I'm sure you can relate to that. We have similar backgrounds, and just the irony of, I want you having all of this background. And, I, had some football background. I, obviously being Oregon State, that's a Nike junior. So we had great facilities, great programs. I can't even remember the name of the ones, but I have a lot of friends who like were in the same background as me that like trained Olympians, like trained professional athletes, worked with the Portland Trail Blazers, worked with the Seattle Seahawks, but, we all kind of pursued our own, niche, so to speak. I personally, like I said, wanted to do corporate because with corporate wellness, you get paid all year. With professional, you get paid for 9 months, and then you got to fill that gap. So I always wanted a family. I knew it'd be better to have income for 12 months than 9. But yeah, I ended up pursuing a different course. Went after Costco. I tried to quit. Every time I tried to quit, they promoted me, and now I'm still there. So,
dude, that's awesome. At Oregon State, did you play at Oregon State?
I tried walking on, but I tore my MCL 2 days before the tryout.
Oh, fuck.
So
yeah.
And I still went to try to walk on. And they literally told me, your speed's there. You're stronger than most of the guys pound per pound, in your position, but your agility is garbage. And I said, yeah, I have a torn MCL. I tore it 2 days ago. If it wasn't, I would have some questions.
Right.
So,
right.
But I, initially when I first came out of high school, I was going to go to Western Oregon, which was a D2 school, smaller. I just wasn't feeling it. Didn't like the school, didn't like the coaches. So I ended up transferring to Oregon State, playing there, working out with the team. Like I was on the practice squad. And then the following year I tried to walk on. And then literally 2 days before, I was, probably had more weight on my back than I should have going into a tryout. Went down, heard a pop, couldn't come up. And so I thought I would rest it. I thought I'd just strain something. Like our bodies make weird noises when we got, big weight on our back. Right. But I didn't end up going to get it checked out until after the tryout, because like trying to run on it just absolutely, expedited the pain, increased the pain. Got it looked at, and sure enough, they did an MRI on it, and banana split my MCL. They're like, there's not really a whole lot they'll do for that because the ligament's still there, but you're not going to be doing anything at an elite level. So like I still lift with a brace on that knee to make sure it's staying in the correct plane. Like with my background, I knew what it was. And I'm like, oh, cool. I can work around it or get it repaired and hope it's better, but chances are it may or may not be. So I never ended up fixing it and just did, the best I can with the cards I was given. So
yeah, the journey into corporate, again, just peeling back another layer of things we have in common. I had my knee replaced 2.5 years ago, and I didn't realize how much pain I was in until I didn't have it anymore. What's it like in the corporate wellness space? Because I've heard from a lot of buddies, USAA being such a veteran-friendly environment. But did you feel, by virtue of your compensation or the culture, that that wellness perspective, this initiative that is supposed to drive profitability and cultural integration and all of these things that have tremendous upside when your people are taking less sick days and you're essentially, by virtue of the culture, making them take care of themselves. Did you see that mission being fulfilled, or was it still an uphill climb for you?
I definitely think for the business as a whole, it was an uphill climb, because, they only had the one gym on site while I was there, but they were building a second because they were expanding and making another wing there. And we had our regulars, we had people who came in, and, admittingly, I'm not married to the beat, so I wasn't teaching any, Zumba classes or dance classes. I jokingly said, if you guys can two-step, maybe we can get something like that going, but I'm not going to be, married to any cadences or anything that comes through. But it was still fun. Like they would let us do different events every month. So we do like fun runs. We do like obstacle courses, just different varieties. Obviously you want low risk because you don't want them coming out and, trying to power clean 315 and drop it on their head. But we would do different things to like grow the community and get more people coming out. And I thought it was fun because like we'd have, even basketball tournaments, kickball tournaments, like we're all kids at heart. And when you can go out and play kickball with your coworkers and, put up some points on people. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be there. I want those
No,
bragging rights. Like, yeah.
but I like your mindset, man. The reintegrating the play, you know, when I had my training facility here in Scottsdale for the better part of a decade, it was interesting, you know, the people that would bring themselves back around to play in their practice of fitness had the best results and were the most consistent because they didn't look at it as another obligation or another job. And it sounds like you went the extra mile in creating opportunities for people to bring the play back in. And I'm reminded of a good friend of mine who she owns a marketing company called Play Street. And her whole ethos is bringing play back to the corporate sector and how much consulting and vision casting and goal setting and stuff like that is just so paint by numbers, monotonous and black and white that there's like, where's the fun in all of this? And in our little time with each other up to this point, there's a pattern that I'm seeing show up for Gord, in that you are very playful in your life's experience. Like I've watched you interact with your kid at jiu-jitsu. I'm listening to the way that you would, for anybody else, holding down the gig at Costco, the internship at USAA, and trying to get your feet on the ground in the professional world post-college, and then all the development of desert drives and airport parking, which we'll get into in a second. It seems to be based on the platform of play. You are just genuinely interested in having fun with all of these endeavors. Correct me if I'm wrong in my interpretation of my experience of you, but before we get to making money and financial and material abundance, that play comes first for you. Is that true or false?
I mean, no one's ever like portrayed it that way, but I definitely agree with you. You know, connections are everything, and if you can't connect with people, like where are you going to go? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter, and this might be Costco, just, you know, the 12 years of Costco, but even though we're retail, we're people. Like, we're a people business.
Right.
And that was kind of engraved to me. And, you know, obviously in college, you know, I was involved in team sports, you know, ever since I can remember. Everything is team. Like, you have to be able to connect with the team, and you have to know your audience and how to connect with your audience. Because I can promise you, like, I don't talk to the, you know, the folks at Costco that come in at 2 a.m. the same way I talk to the college kids working at night. You know, if I'm kind and, you know, bubbly with them, they're going to say, get the hell away from me. Like, sometimes with them, just, you know, good to see a brother and move on is good enough for them. But, you know, the kids at night, it's, hey, how you doing? Is everything going okay? Hey, I need a quick favor from you real quick. If you got time, let's go look at something. But, you know, if I did that with the guys in the morning, they'd be like, get to the point. What do you want? It's, but, you know, everybody's their own individual. Everybody has their own personality. You know, you have to find their language, find how you connect with them. You know, it really is, you know, it's no different than the team setting, you know, playing football, you know, being in sports, you know, coaching up the little man at jiu-jitsu. Like, you've seen it too. My daughter's the one that I got to worry about, not my son. My son, I can just be calm and tell him what's going on. And my daughter, like, eye contact. Going on.
Totally, man. So one of the things that I spend a lot of time teaching and coaching is, you know, you hear it in the zeitgeist quite often that the best leaders tend to be the best communicators. And I take it a step further in that I feel the best leaders are the best translators, because to your point, whether you're going to communicate differently to the crew in the morning versus the night watch. And the through line there is making sure that I'm speaking Gord's language, not and meeting you where you're at, not imposing my communication style on you with the expectation that you understand and reciprocate.
Yeah, 100%.
And it seems as if people ask you, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for somebody to look at everything that you got going on, all the moving pieces of your life, and wonder, how the hell does Gord get it all done? Right? Walk me through what your parents showed you as far as entrepreneurship is concerned that allows you to successfully manage all the moving pieces of your life.
That's tough, man. But I love my parents to death, but admittingly, I was the oldest son in a family where, work comes first, fun comes second.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is very much a workhorse. It's, you're done when it's done, not when you're tired. My mom is, her upbringing and like her parenting is very like old world Hispanic. Like, this is how it is. Get it done or get over it. Like, my dad, one of my least favorite lines that he used on me when I was growing up is now my favorite line to use as a leader is, a lack of preparation on your behalf doesn't constitute an emergency on mine. And so, yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Like, you hear it, and as a leader, you're like, 100%, I get that. But when you're receiving it, it's like, understood.
Right.
So it's very much, how I was brought up and taught, like, your situation is the quotient of your actions. You created the situation, so go fix it. Another one I got that I wasn't particularly fond of, but I see now, like, I'm clearly paraphrasing, but you can complain about it, and then I'm going to make you go do it, or you can just go do it. The outcome's not going to change, but your timeline is. So which one do you want to choose?
Right, dude. It's so funny, the things that as kids with our parents, as players with our coaches, as apprentices and employees with our bosses and employers, all the wisdom that gets bestowed upon us that we are resistant to, albeit allergic to.
Yeah.
That comes back around when we reach that level of life lived experience and maturity, where it's like, oh, that makes sense. Now I get it. And I'm curious, man. I feel like, as far as parents are concerned and what they exemplify and embody for us, that we end up modeling for lack of example, and or pursuing a completely alternate route. When you take those lessons that your parents gave you, work till it's done, not when, beyond when you're tired. Does that serve you in entrepreneurship now, or have you transcended and included that lesson and applied it to the context of Gord? Because I was walking through this with a client not too long ago, where they were working through lessons that they had taken from their parents, but had not yet made the leap to apply it to the context of their life. So they're taking the decision matrix that their parents used once upon a time from their 16-year-old perspective and trying to apply it to the circumstances of their 30-year-old lived experience. So the lesson may not have any fault to it, but its application, because the context is different, kept falling short. So I'm curious, as now as a dad and a business owner, business leader, have you made that leap and brought it full circle to here's the fruit of that lesson, but here's how it applies to me now, not trying to bring that early childhood perception into your adult existence?
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, the message can be interpreted a multitude of different ways, but
Mm-hmm.
I do my best to like use it in doses, because I also see the other side of the coin that working until it's done might have you working, for a month straight without sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to work until like you know what your limit is, because at a certain point your work output's going to diminish. It's not going to be quality, and then you're going to be creating more work for yourself. But on the same coin, there's nothing wrong with pushing yourself a little bit harder. I mean, that's why we're all here. We pushed ourselves beyond what our comfort zone used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, if I told the me from 5 years ago what I do today, I would probably look at myself like a ghost and say, "You're a special kind of stupid." But my plate's bigger. And it would have been a two-way conversation, because the decisions I was making then aren't ones I would make now, because I know what I know. But sometimes you don't know what you can learn until you like go after a certain goal. Like, never in a million years did I think I was running $2 million businesses. Here I am. But also, like, now there's things that I'm doing or that I did months ago that me today, I'd probably say, "Hey, follow me down this alley real quick." And then, ideas out of my head. But we don't learn by avoiding, scenarios, or just not trying to figure it out. Like, you have to figure it out. So it goes both ways. They did teach, a work ethic in me. That's, why I am where I am. I mean, even with Costco, I was the youngest senior manager in all of Arizona at 25 at the time when I got to that level, which means I only answered to 2 people in the warehouse, which is pretty neat. But as a 25-year-old trying to tell people that have been working there longer than you've been breathing, let me tell you, that'll teach you people skills real quick. But now I've been doing it for 11 years at this role. Not because I'm not qualified to move on, but my focus has shifted. Like, I built the W-2, I built the side hustle, and now the side hustle is becoming, its own person, own individual, and it's, doing great. I just need to continue investing time there to get it to the next level.
So let me ask you this then, because somebody would hear you say that, I never thought in a million years I'd have $2 million companies. And yet you have this W-2 employee existence as well, this full-time gig. In your mind's eye, what is the benefit of holding on to the W-2 and maintaining the side hustle status of these really successful operations that you got going on?
For me, I've just never seen myself in a world where I don't have a W-2, which is weird, because my gross is, on a monthly basis, is almost exceeding my annual earnings right now, which is wild. Yeah, I can't wrap my head around that still. But I also have a family and kids, and admittingly, like, I have some health conditions that I want to have benefits for, to make sure that those are available. Luckily for me, like, I don't ever plan on leaving Costco, but I would love to be part-time something, because the difference in being 24 hours a week and 50 to 60, that's a lot more time with family and friends. And
I'm interrupting you on purpose because I love the clarity that you have, because I asked that initial question with as non-judgmentally as possible, because there are so many people that fall into, whether it's by virtue of being a competent and successful technician, like you see a lot of strength coaches and personal trainers, right? They get be, bewildered, or the joy gets sucked out of them in the big machine that they're a part of, and they create this narrative that entrepreneurship is the way. I need to go start my own thing, fly my own flag, etc., only to realize that there's so much more that goes into it beyond helping people sweat and smile, that it becomes overwhelming. And at least I know you know this from the world of fitness, building a business out of spite is not a great foundation for your business plan.
No.
So, so I champion your perspective, because I think you're in a genuine place of empowerment, where if you listen to the zeitgeist, your scenario very often is talked down upon or bastardized, or like, dude, why don't you jump ship already? And the clarity of your existence is in my opinion, worth applauding, man. Because what you just spoke to is what alignment looks and feels like for Gord, not the you're not hopping on the quote unquote all in hype train, because I've watched you work. There's no doubt that you're all in, but it seems to be, in my observation and listening to your perspective, that you are genuinely laser focused and present with whatever it is that you're doing. And I can only imagine that that's how you are as a dad in either business, and also, with your wife, and or when you're on the job at Costco. Like, I am where my feet are planted, and you don't seem like a very distractible individual.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard, because sometimes I want to do all the things at once, but it's a lot more efficient to complete the task in front of you than to try to do several at once. Like, I'm also into, like, I guess, personality awareness.
Sure.
And so, like, I don't know if you're familiar with the BEST test, where you analyze, like, where your strengths are, like between, bold, empathetic, or excuse me, bold, expressive, sympathetic, and technical.
Okay.
It won't surprise anybody who knows me, but I am very BT, like very BT, because I don't have that off button where, hey, you shouldn't do that, or hey, this person's getting loud, like, let's go get someone else. It's like, no, I got it.
Right.
We even joke at my work that, hey, Gord, can you come make a friend up front? Sure, I'll be right there. I walk up, hey, what's going on? I want to help you, but let's take it down a notch. Start over.
Nice.
What's going on?
So, in the world of AI, and as digitally connected as we are, it's my observation that society is quick, fast, and in a hurry losing the ability to do the people part. Right. And what do you have in your arsenal and your patterns and routines that keeps you engaged, feet on the ground, and not hiding's the wrong word, but over leveraging technology for your interaction with other people?
From like the personal regard or
Yeah.
work or
So like,
businesses.
hey, Gord, go make a friend up front,
Mm-hmm.
right? Conflict resolution, looking somebody in the eye, like all of these things are uh, learned behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and they require consistent practice for us to be confident and competent in how we use them in social settings, not just conflict resolution, but just how we engage with people in general. I mean, there's so much. The people component of your businesses is, even though you have a technology platform for its operation, the people part is huge,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how do you keep those two things working synergistically?
So the biggest thing is like I try to put myself in the customer perspective. And admittingly, I don't enjoy making friends. I just know how. Like it's so hard for me to remember I have a name badge on right now because that's not how I would answer outside of work
Mm-hmm.
or outside of the business. But everybody is so darn comfortable talking behind screens with no repercussions. Like when I was in high school, if I said something to the wrong person, man, I'd be cleaning up my nose.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how it is anymore.
Right.
And despite what people believe, like I don't think the old way was the wrong way because it taught people to be moral and humble with how they speak to each other.
Sure.
Like, granted, I don't think violence is ever the answer,
Mm-hmm.
but action should always have consequences.
Yes.
And with screens, there are a lot less consequences. So,
Mm-hmm.
I won't get into the rabbit hole on that one. But the biggest thing for me is like you have to put yourself in basically the shoes of the consumer. Like when you're talking to people,
Mm-hmm.
there's one of my bosses actually taught me that always state your intention because people are very good at assuming and thinking that you will match their energy. You don't have to. If you walk up and the first thing out of your mouth is, I want to help you, but
Mm-hmm.
let's take a moment or come talk to me over here because I want to help you. And, sometimes even taking somebody out of the setting that they're in, even if it's 10 feet, they feel like they're in a different area. And so it resets them. Another one that I love to do is like when I'll ask people, are you okay? Like in the middle of what they're doing. Because if you were, I don't think this is how this situation would be going, but are you okay? Because I think that's more important than solving this issue. I need to make sure you're okay first. Well, this, that, and my bills and this and that. I'm like, yeah, I would be frustrated if that was my reality too.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I can't help with that, but I can help with this. So how can we find something in the middle that's going to not get me in trouble with my boss, but make sure you're happy? So
Does that catch, are people, what is the typical response to that approach? Are people disarmed? Does their guard go up momentarily? Like what do you get when you approach somebody who is activated and you approach them with that level of empathy, concern, and genuine presence?
I definitely think like it disarms people because their face goes from like hot to what? Like most people when they're activated, like they got fire and they're ready to throw fire on fire. But if you walk up and like that's your demeanor, like they're looking for a reaction in all realms of everything. And if you don't give them one, they are disarmed. Like they might get more aggravated, but you just reiterate what you said. Like, hey, I want to help you, but I don't think I can right now. So let's try again.
But you also give off, and I mean this genuinely and in the most loving way. You give off that alpha male presence.
Yeah.
Right. So when you step on the scene and I don't know anything about you, just all of the assumptions that come with my lived experience with in the engagement of people who look like you, who look like us, right? Whatever that is, right? And you set the table with empathy and concern. Are you familiar with the term disconfirming information?
No.
Okay. So I have all those assumptions about you, even though I don't even know you, right? The muscles, the tattoos, the clothes you wear, right? All of that comes with assumptions based on my lived experience, right? And let's say that assumption is something negative, right? On site, my assumption is you're loud, you're mean, you're obnoxious, you're unaware. And then we engage with each other, and I met with something that is the complete opposite of that. Wow, he's kind, he listens, he's paying attention, I feel seen. So you're presenting me with disconfirming information, and now I have to make a choice. I can either act a certain way that brings you around to confirm my assumption about you, or I have to accept this new reality based on the information I now have.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm curious, especially in these moments of peak emotional states, you know, something's not going right with a customer or whatever, and you got to defuse the situation. Do they go up before they come down, or is it like almost immediate, like you're watching them short circuit behind the eyes? Like, what the fuck? Who am I talking to? What's going on? I'm confused.
No, it's primarily the latter. Because like I've, like you said, I'm a petite 6'2", 260. So when, you know, it's me showing up to talk to people, and for a while, my two assistant managers were both bigger than me. Like, one was an older dude who used to be a tire center manager. Like, you imagine a tire center manager who's been doing it for 30 years. Like, he's going to be pretty close to that. Just big, scruffy, looks like he rolled in a Harley or in his 1950 F-150. Either one were probably true. But, and then the other dude is like 6'5", just stacked, could have played basketball or, you know, defensive end in the NFL. But those were my assistant managers. So sometimes, you know, when they would call for a manager, you know, we would both, or three of us, walk up and they're like, "Oh, you brought up security?" "No, ma'am. You asked for a manager." "We're available." So, yeah, it definitely has its, you know, perks. But, you know, the goal is never, ever, you know, intimidation, but, you know, we were given these cards. We earned these cards. We built these cards in some cases.
Sure.
But when, you know, you approach people, they are going to have that perception. You know, our Costco culture is, you know, be transparent with, you know, the upper leadership to make sure that we are, you know, adhering to our code of ethics and, you know, the mission statement. So we have to be overly aware of our perceptions. And, you know, I had no shortage of GMs tell me, "You're 6'2", you're huge, you look like a jerk, you don't smile. Be aware of that." It's like, well, I'm not intentionally not smiling. I'm thinking, like, I'm just stagnant.
Well, so let's go in right there. You know, when you get feedback like that, and I feel that you're aware enough to recognize that observation comes from a good place, right?
Yeah.
The intent is to raise your awareness and help you, right? That being said, how do you perceive feedback like that? Because it would be really easy to perceive that negatively, as if somebody was pissing in your Cheerios.
Yeah.
Right.
It's completely fine with me. Like, bold technical to a fault. Like, you're stating your perception. I mean, I was also brought up that your perception is not my responsibility. Like, you are responsible for your thoughts and your decisions. But that doesn't mean that I can't help change your experience. because I don't want to justify your opinion. So that's how I go about it. Like, I'm not responsible for how you view me or what you think of me.
Mm-hmm.
I am responsible for the experience you have with me. And if they align, shame on me. If they don't, shame on you.
I absolutely love that. And I am so curious where that comes from in you, because if we play back the tail of the tape, you come from a very strong family culture.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds as if you being the oldest of your siblings with two entrepreneur parents, the way you were treated from conception to manhood was very consistent. Being involved in high level athletics for the majority of your lived experience, and then ending up in the corporate world prior to your entrepreneurial journey via USAA and what I understand to be true about Costco. There's a lot of scaffolding around Gord that supports the fullest expression of your greatness. Do you recognize that to be true? Or do you find yourself on the other side of the fence? Like, my work ethic got me here all by my lonesome.
Depending on the day, but it's definitely because, nobody ever, I shouldn't say nobody. It's very hard to be successful or get to where you are without a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard to be successful and get to where you want to be without being receptive to feedback. Like, you'll get there. It just isn't going to be as quick as it could be if you aren't receptive to input. Like, one thing I've learned, like when I was initially starting my businesses, like I didn't want to do anything with a mentor. Like, I'll figure it out. I can find this online. Like, I don't need anybody telling me anything because that's their opinion. It's not fact.
Ooh,
well,
okay.
But they've been doing it. So what makes what fact? Like, the argument goes both ways. If you're going to sit here and tell me, hey, this from my experience, this is what works, and if I say, well, this is what I read up on, this is what should work, you're doing it. So why is my fact more or hold more weight than your experience? You know what I mean? So that was a big eye opener for me because I invested in mentorships, and I have a mentor in the parking world. I have a mentor in the rental car business. I would even say, for a while in Costco, I had a mentor because, they were trying to fast track me because the company's facing mass exodus of everybody coming of retirement age, and the company's growing and expanding. And, I have no doubt that if I wanted to have my own warehouse by now, I would probably be pretty close, if not already there. But that's not my path. That's not what I want for me and my family right now. It's a great company. I have nothing negative to say about it, but OT is own time, and I want my own time for my family.
Yeah. Walk me through what you look for in a mentor.
Shoot. The first one just kind of happened organically. He was already doing it. He owns and manages, it's called Phoenix Parking Solutions, which is coincidentally has zero affiliation with the state of Arizona or the city of Phoenix. It's out of Atlanta, Georgia, and the bird on the city crest was a phoenix. So that's where the name came from. But he helps manage, all the back end SaaS of the parking lot, and built out the website, all that kind of stuff. And so he helps us with, the mentorship as far as, not only parking, but just being a business owner. He also owns a virtual driving range bar called the Back Nine. So it's kind of like Top Golf, but it's all virtual, and they got good food, good drinks, and he has several different franchises. So he also does all the things, and he is a lot more successful than I am. But you learn and you elevate yourself by, they say that you become an average of the 5 people you talk to the most. So I try to do that, and it's a bummer. I've cut ties with a lot of my friends that I've had growing up, and even since I moved out here, but I mean this in the nicest way, but they aren't adding value to my life.
Mm-hmm.
We need to add value to each other's life. That's why, my wife and I, we live a little bit west of, our jujitsu. We
Yeah.
could have easily gone to Phoenix, but we chose to go to Scottsdale because we want to be around parents that are like-minded. Not saying that that's not present in Phoenix, but it's more abundant in Scottsdale.
Sure.
That's why we come to Scottsdale. Same goes, like, I was invited out to Las Vegas for another podcast last July. So it's actually been about a year. And I met the guy who's doing the rental cars, and we just kicked it off because he has a fleet of like $400, and the dude isn't losing any sleep over making money. But he was asking about the parking lot. He's like, man, sometimes I think parking would have been the better way to go because it just seems so much more passive. And so, we just started going back and forth and, talking about different things. And, everything's, it depends. Like, it depends on your business model. It depends on where you're located. It depends. Rental cars, you certainly need human help to deal with all the human aspects of it. Parking's pretty straightforward, but things happen, like people, I mean, we get monsoons. So, you might get a palm tree leaf that blows off and hits somebody's windshield, and now it's cracked, and now they think it's your fault and you're replacing the windshield. But like, we take everything case by case to try to help people. But it really helps when the person is doing what you want to do and you can see that they're successful in it.
Yeah. You seem to be very intentional and deliberate in all phases of your life. And what I love about the way you describe your relationships is it is so far away from transactional, and yet you're very aware of the two-way street that is value. And it's very much aligned with what and how we coach, in that you're asking two questions simultaneously. Am I adding value to you? And are you adding value to me? And that is not limited to a financial transaction of any kind. Am I a better version of me when I'm in your presence? Right? Is the ironing sharpening iron here? And that is to the point that you made earlier about losing friends and gaining mentors, and surrounding yourself with people that are aligned in what you want for yourself, who you are, and where you're going. Sometimes when you achieve that level of awareness, correct me if I'm wrong, the first and biggest initial challenge is, I leverage a framework called ARA: anchor, understand, release, and align. The releasing part, because we want to hang on to things that are familiar to us, whether they're good for us or not. But that letting go is required if we want to create the space and the energetic capacity to achieve the next thing. Was that when you arrived there and started doing it consciously, was that a challenge for you?
I don't think so, because my journey was kind of unique, and like, my wife and I have been doing it all by ourselves for the most part. So we really didn't have any other time to do anything that wasn't beneficial. Like, and I don't mean that in a mean way. Like, we even struggle. Like, I love my family to death. I always want my kids to grow up and be around family. But like, sometimes, when there's family gatherings or this event or that, like, we have to make ourselves go because we know it's best for the family. And that's hard to say, man, because like, again, my family is everything. Like, I love my family. I would die for my family, live for my family, which is more important. Like, you got to live and make decisions for your family. But there's other things that, that like, hey, this might not be the best lever for my time. Like, this could be a much better leverage of my time because this is the outcome. But you just have to navigate around that and be able to schedule your week accordingly, because it's all about balance too, which is really the hardest part. Cause I mean, there's weeks where I feel like I put in over 100 hours, but you know, I still need to be present for my kids. Like that's my biggest challenge right now is I'm trying to be present when I'm on dad time. Cause I don't want them spending time with dad while he's on his laptop or his computer. Like when it's time for my kids, it's time for my kids.
Yeah. The thing about kids, and this has been my experience as a father, and I'm curious for your perspective. It has so much more to do with the quality of the time spent than the quantity of time spent. And both are important. I don't want to dismiss one or the other, but I know here, not intellectually or trying to rationalize it, that if I give my kids 15, 30 minutes of just undivided attention and love and all the things, that goes so much further than taking them to the park, fucking around on my phone for 2 hours while like I'm looking up every 5 minutes to see where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Where are you with regards to putting your kids in front of coaches, mentors, people of influence who embody the lessons that you want to teach them, as opposed to them coming the majority of the time from you exclusively as dad?
Yeah, that was actually a big reason why we got my son into jiu-jitsu. You know, the mental toughness, the you know, try again. Like we don't let anyone say I can't in my house. We always say I can't yet. Mm-hmm. So it's good hearing it from, you know, other people. Like it blows my mind still. Like this is my dude, and I can tell him to do something 7 things. He just like looks at me and finally does it. We go into, you know, Tiago tells him once and he does it. It's like, is it because he can beat me up or what's going on? But it's, you know, it's good because they need that structure. They need that reinforcement. They need that discipline. And, you know, I feel like jiu-jitsu's, you know, I think highly of team sports, but in life, like you're not always going to have a team. Like you need to be tough as an individual. You need to figure it out as an individual. That's why my wife and I, like, we let him do all the sports he wants, like periodically. But the one thing that doesn't go away is jujitsu. Like, you know, he does soccer, he'll do swim, he'll do, what did he just do? T-ball. Those are all great team sports, but those are different times throughout the year. But jujitsu is always, because you need to be able to think under pressure. You need to know you can keep going and win when you're in pain. Like you need to know that even if you lose, there's somebody there who's gonna say, you got him next time, man. Like, you're good effort. Like you lost by 2 points. Like that's what we want to instill in our kids, because, you know, there's been those times, and, you know, as a business owner, man, like I've been at my desk, like hand on my head, like, what the hell did I do? How do I fix this?
So many times.
You know, just walking away from it with your tail tucked and then telling everybody poor me is not going to help you. Like, you still got to fix it.
Well, I mean, dude, to illustrate that point in real life, you know, my son wants to get some Legos, you know, some action figures or whatever, some new toys. And he asked the question, Dad, how do I earn money? Right. And there's things that are required to make this house go. They're called chores, you know? So, you know, we don't incentivize in that way the things that you're supposed to do, right? We do incentivize the addition of value, right? So, you know, true to form for a 10-year-old, we're like, dude, like, let's explore some ideas. He's like, a lemonade stand. Let's do that. I'm like, cool. So he got his first lesson in entrepreneurship. You know, we did it by the book, you know, cost of goods, like the concept of being in the red, fixed costs, You got to earn so much to be in the green and profitable. cool, like way over his head. Who gives a shit for a 10-year-old? However, where the rubber met the road, we set up on the golf course behind my in-laws' house. And it was like he struck gold in the first 90 minutes, right? Made his investment back and was in the green. And he was like, Dad, this is awesome. I'm going to hit my number so fast. We don't have to be out here that long. I was like, maybe. We'll see. And true to form, you already know where this is going. That way of yeses crested and came crashing down. And then he went for 30, 45 minutes of people just driving by in their golf carts. Nope, we're good. No vodka. No, thank you. Like just as polite as can be, but we're not getting any closer to that number. And there was that moment, dude, where he wanted to just pack it up and mail it in. And I was like, look, I don't know if we're going to hit your number today, but I do know we are guaranteed not to hit it if we just pack up and leave right now. So you have a choice. I can't make it for you because this is the part of the game where most people quit. And there's so much value in staying in the game just a little bit longer. And dude, over the next 2 hours, he changed his attitude. He greeted everybody with a smile. Yes, or we really spent a lot of time between these cart drive-bys, driving home the variables he does control, his attitude, his energy, the way he greets people, the way he generates his offer, all of those things. And sure enough, man, right at the wire, it's getting like way too damn hot to be out there for this lesson to continue any longer. He hits his number, and it's like, yeah, this is what's possible if you stay committed, control what you control, which isn't the yeses or the nos, but your attitude, whether it's yes or whether it's no, is 100% within your control. How does that filter into the way you empower your kids?
Yeah, I completely agree with that, man. My son, he's a bookworm too right now, and so he's already going through his books like, hey, this one's in good condition. Can I sell this one to Legos also? How much do you think I can sell this book for? I don't know. Have you thought about maybe doing bundles? Oh, like in Monopoly? It's like, maybe like in Monopoly. Because, we got him on Monopoly. We got him the Robert Kiyosaki board game. Getting out of the rat race, like the one for kids. We got that one for him. We got to bust it out so he can start playing that too. But, we're doing our best to start him young because, there's nothing wrong with having a successful W-2 career, but nobody with a W-2 career ever, not many people wrote their own schedule and did what they want when they want. Because the hardest thing for me is asking for time off with my family and being told no. Like, that's a reality of W-2s.
So dude, oh man, I want to end it on this one. How do you juggle that with the exposure that you have to both sides of the fence?
It's tough because sometimes when I do get the time off from the W-2, I got to be there for, the entrepreneurial ventures. So it's really having the right people and the right team and, empowering them to help you. I'm big on SOPs, procedures, and policy, because if we have a consistent procedure and policy, you don't deviate from it. It's literally your decisions on paper. This is what I've done in these situations. This is what I want you to do. And we have different KPIs. And I generally told my guy who wants the manager role, like, I think your KPI is going to be the amount of times you call me to ask a question. If the answer's in the manual, it comes out of your bonus. What? Yeah. My phone doesn't ring, you get more money. So it's the beauty of owning the business is you get to be creative with the incentives and how you want to structure it. So, I'm doing my best. We're finally getting to the point where I feel like I can kind of take a breath and take a step back. Don't ask me about this week. I wouldn't agree with that this week, but that's the goal most weeks.
Sure.
Is to be the check in weekly, not daily, and just make sure that your baby's taking care of the family.
I love it, man. I love it. Gord, I really appreciate you making the time, being available, and so just lovingly transparent in this conversation, man. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know that everybody listening is going to get a ton of value out of this conversation. Where can everybody find what you got going on and support and or take advantage of the services that you provide, man?
Yeah. So people can follow me on social media. My user handle is Gordopreneur. They can also check out our website, desertdrivesllc.com. My parking lot is airportparkingphoenix.com, optimizing SEO search, obviously. But like with our rental car business, we're not traditional in the fact that we only do rental cars. We also do investment opportunities like JV ventures. So folks can, invest $6,000 and get a 50% return on their money within 2 years, because we're able to use that money to acquire more assets. So we go out and get more cars with that investment. We make good money on it, and we reward the people who are investing in our business to help it grow. So, if you invested, say you want to buy one JV unit, $6,000, and then we pay you back $375 a month over the course of 24 months, and now you've made 50% on your money. And that's backed with a UCC lien on whichever vehicle we acquire with that money. So it's clean, it's legit. Helps us grow our business and gets a lot better return than the 2% you're probably getting in a savings account. You're getting 25 annually, 50 overall. So, we got a lot of good things going, and we're trying to keep pushing the needle in the right direction.
Dude, that's super dope, man. I really appreciate you, man. And now you're part of the Leaders Forum and the Next Level community. And if you're on a mission to be the fittest leader possible, head over to nextlevelhq.co, and take the leadership quiz and find out how you show up as a leader and take advantage of all of the aligned leadership conversations that we're having that come down to integrity, courage, and ownership on the foundation of alignment first. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate your time, man.